Good afternoon. Thank you for all being here on this Friday. We hope that you're all doing well, staying warm and healthy wherever you are. So sales, I'm sure as you received an invite to join us or have seen our ads on social media or whatever, you may have said, what is Justin and Nick selling? Well, over the past 2 decades, we have sold millions of dollars in products and services to multiple industries. We train some of the largest organizations and their sales team, and we work individually with sales professionals all over the globe. Now, here's the thing. Most of us hate to be sold to. Most of us look at our phones and see potential spam and know that someone's trying to sell us something, or at least trying to renew our vehicle warranty. If you read the newspapers or watch the news, you know, or at least we hope you know, that you're being sold to.
That took very long.
Social media is another one. It's a massive billboard selling us this idea or that product. We're being sold to as soon as you walk into the market, the supermarket, as soon as you walk down the aisle. In every aisle, on every shelf, there's a reason for everything being there. I don't know if you've noticed this, but I noticed several years ago, maybe 7 or 8 years ago, that there was a change in the supermarket. I'm not sure if you saw it. Do you see the way they now bag lettuce? The next time you're at the store, go look at all the different prepackaged salads or the already cut lettuce, right? And touch the bag. Touch the bag and pick it up and listen to what it sounds like, what it feels like. Over the last decade or so, retailers have decided to require all of their vendors to package their greens into this bag that is crystal clear and that it's rigid enough that it sort of crackles when you pick it up. And they did this to plant this seed deep in your subconscious mind that this stuff is fresh. This stuff came straight from the farm. It is fresh. This lettuce in this bag is as crispy as the bag feels. We're being sold to in every aspect of our life. You know, you're doing it too, and you're selling every second of your waking life. And another conversation for another day is that we're even doing it in our sleep. You are a salesperson. Heck, you might even be a sales pro. If you find yourself saying that your position or your title or your corner office is not a sales position, you're wrong. These are the words that we use to kind of protect ourselves or save ourselves from thinking, you know, we're a greasy car salesman or a late night infomercial. Right? Nobody wants to be a salesperson except for all the salespeople, right? Nobody wants to seem like a high pressure car guy. We don't want to be that person. Nobody wants to be that person, right? Now, I used to tell myself long before I got really good at sales that I didn't want to be that guy either. I wasn't going to persuade somebody to buy something that they really probably didn't need. I remember when I was in research, we'd have an annual meeting every year, a national sales meeting with the sales team every year. And the research team would come together and the sales team would come together. Now, that was an organization that told us who and who was not part of the sales team. There's always this divide, who's in sales and who's not. And the reality is we're all salespeople. No matter your title, your pay, your industry, we are always selling. Now, do me a favor. If you can, in the comment section in the Zoom portal there, just type in I am. Or if you're taking notes at your desk or you got a sticky note on your computer, write I am a salesperson. We sell ourselves, we sell to others, and we sell to ourselves. As I was putting this together, and Justin and I were talking, and we thought, what's the best way to discuss sales without really discussing sales? we know you're from different parts of the organizations and different parts of the world. And because of that, Justin and I know we could put on a sales training in church, right? It doesn't take much for Justin and I to start talking about sales. For example, last weekend, we were in another part of Florida, and after watching two unbelievable playoff games, Justin and I went back to our hotel room, excuse me, really late at night, and started working on sales scripts and our value proposition. We were working on this till just a little bit past 1 a.m. But we didn't want to sound too salesy today, so we wanted to be really careful about how we talked about this today. And we can go in several different directions today, but what we want to do is focus on you. I mean, you are a person, right? Not necessarily a product or a service. We want to focus on us. And this isn't a sales training. So for those of you who are worried, hang out with us for a bit. This is not the next sales training from Nick and Justin. So we came up with what we think really hits at our title today, as it says, we're always selling. And no matter what your position is, by the time we're done here today, you're going to agree with us that we're always selling, no matter how we classify ourselves, how we classify our position, our title, our purpose. We're always selling. Now, I can remember one of the first sales trainings that I went to, the speaker sort of asked, what's the first thing that everybody sold? And, everybody raises their hand and they sell, I sold lemonade, or I sold my dog walking services to my neighbors or babysitters, or some guy said, I first sold typewriters. And this was 15, 20 years ago. And one guy raised his hand and said, me. And the speaker said, excuse me? And he said, the first thing I sold was me. I was shocked because I absolutely loved that answer. And I was kind of pissed that I didn't think of it myself. But truly, that is the first thing that we all sell, is ourselves. Think about when you were kids. We had to sell our moms. We had to sell grandma on something, right? We had to sell grandpa, our dads. We had to sell other kids on everything. Then as we got older, we started a job, or maybe we started a business. Or think about your relationships. Now, I don't know about you, but I had to really actually sell myself to my wife. It wasn't a slam dunk, as Justin and I would say. I mean, come on, tell me your significant other knew about, the way you threw your clothes. Like it's not really in the clothes hamper. It's kind of clothes hamper adjacent, right? Tell me they knew all that. Or the state of your bathroom counter. When we first meet somebody, everything's nice and tidy. Everything's perfect, spick and span. It's like, Martha Stewart came over and had laundry day at your house. It smells like lemon balm and lavender, right? Everything was perfect. Over time, we start to reveal these things about us. But the reason why we did that is because we wanted to sell to this other person, our significant other, boyfriend, girlfriend, wife, or husband, that, hey, we're not slobs, right? We've got it together. We've grown past that stage. We're constantly selling ourselves. There's job interviews, there's meetings, there's new friends. It really doesn't stop. Just yesterday, I had to get a safety inspection on my car. And I went and had the safety inspection. The guy calls me later and he says, hey, Nick, we're just about all finished here, but there's one problem. You need new tires. They're not going to pass inspection the way they are. And I was like, okay, great. I'll be down there in just a minute. So I went in and I had him give me a couple of estimates on some tires. And I don't know about you, but the last time I shopped for tires, it costs like an arm and a leg. Well, yesterday was like an arm, a leg, a next of kin. It was outrageous. And so anyways, I knew that he had a price that he gave me, and I knew that I receive a discount from a shop down the road. So I told him, hey, let me take this, and I got to run some errands and do some things, but I'll call you just before 11 o'clock if I decide to buy and get this done. I'm gonna try to figure something out. Well, long story short, I went and got tires somewhere else because I got a pretty decent discount. And but I needed to go back to this shop because they had basically finished 99% of my inspection. And all I needed him to do was sign off that I got some new tires and I was done and out the door. And so I called him and I said, hey, would you mind? I fixed the problem. I had a friend who sold me some tires really cheap. He's got a car like mine. He had brand new tires. He got engine trouble, blah, blah. I made up this huge story. To sort of sell this guy on the fact that I didn't buy tires from you. And that it really, what I was trying to do is sell him on the fact that it wasn't him, it was me. Right? I was trying to save him from some sort of embarrassment that I didn't buy tires from him, or maybe I was trying to save myself. I was just really trying to make him, I was trying to make him feel better. And it's funny that we always do that. We have a default to sort of, sell this or that sort of idea. So let me ask everybody, what is your position? I know some of us are CEOs and managers, admin assistants. Maybe some of you are bookkeepers or receptionists. Forgive me if that's not what we call them anymore. All of these positions and any position in business, we are all salespeople. Now, nothing happens until something is sold. Nothing happens until something is sold. Everyone always tells, well, Nick, what about a doctor or a dentist? Really? Has your dentist sold you a fluoride treatment for your kids or a whitening program for you? And doctors, I mean, the US pharmaceutical industry is about a $90 billion industry. Who's their number one salespeople? Doctors, not the reps, the doctors. Now, no matter whether you recognize it or not, someone has decided to buy from you or your business or your organization because of you. It could have been in the first 5 seconds, or it could have been in the fifth or sixth meeting. But you have an impact on your organization's ability to sell or not. Most importantly, we sell to ourselves, right? We sell to other people, but we sell to ourselves. We're constantly selling to ourselves. And am I correct when I say that we are our best and worst customers? Let me explain a little bit. If you don't feel that way, as most of you should, but have you ever told yourself or sold yourself on an idea or an action or a specific way of thinking? Have you ever really sold yourself on a new idea? How easy was that? In sales, we always say that everything has been created twice. Once in the mind, and a second in a physical form, right? This table, this desk, this chair, these lights. It wasn't just created. Someone just didn't walk into a shop and start creating, right? They had to think about it. Everything is created twice. And if everything already exists, why is it so hard to sell ourselves on these ideas or a product or a service? Even things that we know we want, we have to sometimes sell ourselves into it or sometimes out of it. I want a really nice boat. I'm constantly selling myself out of the fact that I'm not really ready to pay for that yet. Now, some of us during a certain time of the month and certain time of, not certain time of the month, every certain time of year, let's say it, we're extremely ambitious. And we go to the gym 3 or 4 times a week. There's always this one month this happens to everybody. Week 1, there's no inner conversation. It's just, hey, we're doing this, right? I'm going. And then week 2 rolls around. And it's like, yep, I'm still rocking. I've got my new shoes, my new gloves. I got my 6,000 ounce water jug made of, space plastic from an earth conscious weapons company that uses secret enzymes in the plastic to make my water wetter. And therefore it hydrates me better, right? Week 2, we're jazzed up. We got all the stuff. Week 3, we head down and we walk in, our head might be down a little bit. And we're like, I have to get out of bed early, right? I gotta get up early. So it means I gotta go to bed early. I have to be at the gym at 6 a.m. Yeah, I'm still doing it. I'm still going. I don't even think I'm seeing results, right? How many of us in week 3 we start looking at our bodies and we're like, I'm not seeing any I'm not seeing any results here. And then week 4 rolls around. And then you're thinking, this is the dumbest idea ever. Who got me into this crap, right? I have worked out 3 days for the last 3 weeks in a row. I can afford a day off. I've earned it. We always tell ourselves, I've earned it. I'm gonna take a day off. We are our best and worst customers because we are constantly rewriting the deepest part of our mind. It's called the subconscious mind. And stay with me here for a second. I just want to explain a really important point about your brain and your mind. Now, we often speak about these two interchangeably, the brain and the mind. They're two separate entities. And the best way I know how to describe it is there's this hardware and software. Your brain being obviously the hardware, and your mind is the software. Your mind is this program that runs your life. And unfortunately, for many of us, it's probably the biggest limiting factor in our lives. Now, your brain is the control center. It tells your hands and toes when to move and where to move, and your tongue and your muscles in your mouth when to contract and relax to form a word in a sentence. Simple to understand, right? But our mind is a little more complex. There are two parts to our mind, the conscious and our subconscious. Our conscious mind is our thinking mind. It forms opinions about things and it uses logic, and it operates at about 4 million bits per second, right? Little packets of information. And your subconscious mind is your feeling mind. It's deductive. It operates at about 4 billion bits per second. Now, unlike your conscious mind, it does not have the ability to reason. It can only deduce what your conscious mind is telling it. And it has to believe what you say. It has to believe what you say. There is no function that allows it to believe anything other than what your conscious mind tells it. So when you get to week 4 of the New You, New Year program, you start saying things like, I can take a day off. I earned it. Reality is you were probably told that when you were a younger person, or you've been giving yourself these concessions your entire life. Now, because your subconscious runs at such a high speed, it's running at light speed, before you even get the words out of your mouth that you can take a break, you're already back in bed, dreaming of some beach in Mexico, right? It's that quick. Now, we are our best customers because we believe in the program we have been operating by for decades. And I don't know about you, but Justin and I, we haven't accomplished what we want. We're not about to start making concessions to take a break or a day off from realizing our dreams. We take the time that we need. We're not gonna give ourselves those concessions yet. And we are our worst customers because once we try to sell ourselves into this new idea, when we try to sort of birth this new opportunity, our subconscious automatically rejects it because it isn't consistent with what we've been telling it for decades, for all these years, all the things we've told it. It has to be consistent with what we know, with what we've been told, with what we agree with. If it isn't, because it operates at light speed, it rejects it immediately and says, that's not possible. You can't go to week 5. You've never done it before. You can't go to week 5. You're not this person. You don't work out. That's not who you are. We're a Netflix and chill kind of family, right? It's that quick. The number one salesperson on the planet has this one thing in common with all the other top sales professionals. It's consistency. right? If you want to chart a new path, create a new way of thinking, overcome self-doubt, imposter syndrome, fear of success or failure, you can. But you'll be rewriting your subconscious mind to believe what you're saying. You have to rewrite, you have to create this new program. The new software needs to be downloaded. And you need to convince it. There's this new plan of action. It doesn't come overnight. You have to be persistent. You have to sell yourself. And you have to sell yourself to yourself. And that is the most difficult sell you will ever have.
Yeah, that's a great point, Nick, and hopefully I can get my audio to kick back over here. This, but it's great. As you can tell, that we're really going through and talking about not necessarily what sales are, right? But we are always selling, and whether our mind agrees with that or makes that connection or not. So I can tell you, obviously, Nick and we're very passionate about today's topic. So hopefully there's this part of you that is serving you. It's giving you the opportunity to check in with yourself, or maybe it's giving you the opportunity to really look at yourself in the mirror. You know, when we say that you're always selling, we're talking about your self-image. We're talking about your self-esteem. And truth be told, your self-esteem is the single most significant key to your behaviors. If you remember from earlier in this week, if you had the emails, if you received some of those emails, we shared an email with you about heading out to the grocery store, something simple that we all do. We head out to the grocery store, and oftentimes if it's early on a Saturday morning, sometimes we've got some raggy clothes on. Our hair's not done. We haven't brushed our teeth. We don't really present ourselves as that's who we are every day. But what happens when you walk into the grocery store and you run into somebody that you want to influence, right? That has some sort of influence over you, and you maybe want to impress them. It could be a boss of yours. It could be a person of from the emotional side of your brain that you've been trying to impress. But we can agree that this has happened, right? We present ourselves in that manner, and we don't intend to. It's all happened at some point in our lives. So again, I want to share just a quick story with you. As a child, I was always upset that my mother would drop me off at school before she had showered or got herself ready. She was in the hair industry, so I knew at the time that she knew how to get herself and make herself look like $1 million. But she didn't go into work until after I had gone to school. So she wouldn't get herself ready. She'd drive up and not have herself looking like she does when she would come home. Or my dad would always drive these beater vehicles. And he did that because he didn't want a car payment. And in some of these vehicles, if I could just paint this mental picture here for you quick. I mean, I remember one was like a 1978 Pontiac Fury of some sort, I think is what it was, blue in color. Just the thing was ugly. It was a rust magnet. But really what that was doing is I finally got wise to this. And what I would tell my parents is I'd say, hey, tell you what, drop me off a block away and I'm just going to walk up to school and we'll be good. Really at the time, my parents didn't know that this was killing me inside. This was killing my self-image. I wanted to be liked. I wanted to be welcomed. I wanted to be part of my friends' lives that they were. And this self-image that I really had no control over was crushing my self-esteem. Sure, you could look at this scenario as a form of bullying, right? I was bullied because my parents, they didn't have the money to do and have the nice things that some of my friends did at the time. Now, this obviously isn't a plug to go buy expensive clothes. It's not a plug to go buy a fancy car or big houses because you need to impress people. That's another topic that Nick and I will talk about in a future date. But what we're simply saying is a low self-esteem, it puts a ceiling on our potential. We can never outperform our self-image. And the value that we place on ourselves is the value that others place on us. So again, jumping back to that grocery store email, the story that I had sent out. Let me ask you this. If you were ready for the day, if you were all done up, you were ready to go, would your interaction with that person be different? Would you feel more confident about the situation that you're in? Perhaps maybe you'd be more willing to have a deeper conversation with that person. Maybe you'd be more willing to connect with them. Or maybe you'd be worried about not having your breath smell. maybe you're not worried about what your hair looks like because it's a mess. So we encourage you to think about your self-image and the direct connection that it has with your self-esteem. So obviously, since our time here today is fairly limited, Nick and I, again, we could go on for days and days, but we want to be cognizant of your time. But so I want to just quickly touch on a few things that making a turn, taking that turn to be positive, have a positive change in your life by focusing on building your self-image. Because again, I think this is something that I share quite often. And Nick would contest to this, and anybody that's worked with us in the past would agree that the biggest gap in most of our lives is the difference between what we know and what we actually do. So first and foremost, we must first guard our self-talk. So think about it this way. What we say about ourselves, we tend to believe. What we believe, we tend to act. And what we act, we tend to become. Now, for example, with the Winter Olympics, it's right around the corner here. I think it starts next week. Would you agree that every world record holder that you'll see on TV, would you ever believe that they held this belief or continually holding themselves back or saying to themselves, I can't do this. I can't do this. Now, obviously not to say that at some point they didn't doubt themselves, right? We've always had that opportunity to doubt ourselves. And quite frankly, it comes up more than we probably would like it to be. But what makes them so elite is that they've mastered the negative self-talk. They've eliminated self-talk from their awareness. And it's not something that they allow to take over their life from an emotional standpoint. We are emotional creatures, right? At heart, we are emotional beings. And now this obviously leads me to a second point that I wanted to share with you. So what do you think about this quote? Whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. Whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. So what Nick and I are saying is give yourself permission to move beyond your self-limiting beliefs. Give yourself permission. Now, Charles Schwab has a great quote. He said, when a man put a limit on what he will do, he places a limit on what he can do. That's powerful. When you put a limit on what you will do, you put a limit on what you can do. And it all starts with this negative self-talk that we oftentimes find ourselves in. Has anyone ever told you that you can't do something? Has anybody ever told you, hey, you can't do that? You can't get that promotion because you're just not even qualified. Or you can't start that side business because you don't have any time. Now, our mentor, Paul Martinelli, shared this with us on a call a few years back. And he said, can't should fear you. Can't should fear you. Now, I don't know about you, but that statement, every time I hear that, I read that, I go back and listen to that recorded audio, it gets me fired up. I get fired up when I hear can't should fear you. It activated the emotion in my body that I was just simply not going to be stopped. No one is going to stop me. If any of you know Nick and I very well on a personal level, you know that once we put our minds to something, we don't stop until it becomes a reality. Because we don't allow can't to take over our lives. I can't do that. So now this isn't some superpower either. Nick and I don't possess a superpower that you don't have or certainly can't attain. But we've both mastered the art of negative self-talk. We were both faced with several limiting beliefs at a very young age. And we simply made an agreement with ourselves by saying, I'm not going to let that happen. We made that agreement. I'm not going to let that happen. So as I wrap up here today, I wanted to share one last principle with you. And I'd really like to look at it through the lens of responsibility. So here's what we would encourage you to do. Make a list of your best personal qualities. And we want you to review that list daily. Review that list daily and continue to add more as your self-awareness rises. Because we know that self-talk, it really has a powerful effect on those who practice it every single day. So if you could, find a place to display positive statements about yourself. Think about a place that you can put these positive statements about yourself that you can read every single day. Then we encourage you to track how often you practice that self-talk. For me, it's on my calendar, my phone, right here. I have 2 self-talk reminders that pop up every single morning, one at 7:50 a.m. and one at 8 a.m. And I read those to myself every day. I can tell you this, if I put it on a sticky note and I put it on my computer or on my desk or in my vehicle, chances are I'm not going to see it. Unfortunately, or fortunately, these cell phones have taken over our lives. So use the technology, use it in your favor for once. Write a little self-talk to yourself. What is that? Make it positive. Review it every single day. And I can assure you that you're not going to want to keep going down that same path. You're not going to want to keep dealing with the same problems every day in your life because it's going to enter your awareness and you're going to make a change because you don't want to deal with that anymore. So Nick and I would like to, once again, thank you for taking some time with us here today. And if you liked what you heard, we'd encourage you to join us next week. Bring a friend. The link that you get, copy that, paste it, send it to an email to a friend, and really engage with us on this. We're going to continue to do these every week. Nick and I kind of found a nice little niche here where we want to jump on, and we know everybody's busy. Everybody's got life going on, right? We understand that. But we're going to continue to send out some emails. We're going to continue to host these live webinars, these free teachings on some principles that we've learned along the way. Or you could jump over to our Facebook page. It's called Influencing Profits. We shared that last week with you. We encourage you to join that group. It's a private group. It's a safe space that we have created where we can continue to add value to ourselves and others in the group. So everybody have a great Friday. Thanks for joining us again, and we can't wait to see you next week.
Thank you, everyone.